Hello, St. Mark's. Welcome back to another Musical Monday. This is James Holyer, Director of Music at St. Mark's Episcopal Church, and I am coming to you today from the church's parish hall, Leatherbury Hall, where I am playing our beautiful Mason and Hamlin grand piano, and I'm being joined by Father Barnum on the wall over there, looking over my shoulder and making me kind of nervous. But I'm glad he was able to attend today, and glad you're here as well, joining us for this concert, which is a real treat for you classical music fans. It's an all-Mozart program. Mozart, of course, needs no introduction. Born in 1756, died in 1791. He was one of the central figures of the classical period in music. Although dying relatively young at the age of 35, he was an incredibly prolific composer, all different genres. And then during his lifetime was known, of course, as a child prodigy, composer and performer, and then a virtuoso composer and performer. Throughout his lifetime, he is well known and well loved by all of us. And it's a real treat to get to play the piano and play his music for you today. I don't get to play the piano very much, so this has been an enjoyable concert to prepare for, and I hope you enjoy it. The first piece I'll play for you is the Sonata in C, K45, which is his sonata number 15 or 16, depending on who's counting. It is a relatively short and simple sonata. It was actually known to Mozart. He kind of considered it his beginner sonata. It came to be known as the Sonata Semplice or the Sonata Facile, both meaning the easy sonata or the simple sonata. Although that gives you an indication of what a good performer Mozart was. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. It is easy by comparison to many of his other pieces, but it's no cakewalk. I actually did have to practice for this. It is a wonderful piece, very, like a lot of Mozart, very, very, very happy, very satisfying to hear and to play. It's in 3 movements, like most sonatas. The word sonata it's a generic term for something meant to be played on an instrument versus a cantata, which was meant to be sung. By Mozart's time, though, it had come to mean something fairly specific. It's a multi-movement work, usually alternating movements of fast and slow or loud and soft, and in this case, that holds true. It's 3 movements, an allegro, which means fast, an andante, which is a slower walking tempo, and then a rondo, which is marked allegretto, which means slightly faster or moderately fast. The first movement is in a very strict form called sonata allegro form, or sonata form, or first movement form. All called that because they were used for sonatas and used for first movement, so they kind of came to be known, the form kind of came to be known as that, as first movement form. It's fairly strict form. It's ternary, has 3 sections. The first section is known as the exposition and has 2 contrasting themes. The first theme is this, in C. Second theme is in the dominant of G, and contrasts, sounds like this. That whole exposition is played twice, which gives the listener the benefit of being able to hear all those themes twice, so that later in the piece when they come back or the composer does something special with them, like modulate or put them in minor or use snippets of them, the listener can kind of hear them better because they've heard them twice before. After the exposition, the composer then offers a development where he takes the 2 themes and develops them, modulates, puts them in minor, uses little bits of them in sequence, goes off in another direction and adds other material, but then comes back for the recapitulation, which is the third part of the movement, where the themes are stated again, now in different keys. A lot of times they would both be in the tonic, so both in C, bringing the whole piece back to the home key of C. In this case, though, Mozart, who's very tricky and like to do different things with his compositions, the first theme actually comes in F, which is the subdominant, and then the second theme, now instead of returning in G, is in C, bringing us back home. So a little different, but still a very, very nice opening movement. The middle movement is the andante, which, as I said, means a walking tempo, so a little slower, although not a really slow movement like a largo or something. It has this very nice theme in G at the beginning, which then goes through a development section as well, and then a recapitulation where it comes back. So it is also kind of ternary form, 3 parts, an A and a B and an A. Then the final movement is, as I said, allegretto, which means moderately fast, so maybe not as fast as the opening movement, but still fairly sprightly. And it is in rondo form, which is another fairly specific form with multiple themes. It has a first theme, the sprightly sort of staccato figure, which then immediately goes to a second theme. Then the first theme comes back. Then there's a third theme. Then the first theme comes back. And that's kind of the idea of the rondo, is this first theme that keeps coming back throughout the work, and so you'll hear it a lot. But it's a fun, as I said, sprightly sort of way to end the piece, and I hope you enjoy this Mozart Piano Sonata in C in 3 movements, Allegro, Andante, and Rondo. For my second and final piece, I'll be playing Mozart's Fantasia in D minor, or Fantasy in D minor, K397. So a fantasia is very different and less formal than a sonata. Fantasias have their roots in improvisation, and while later, as more people wrote them, they became a little bit more formalized and maybe not always improvised. They still had that improvisatory quality to them. Very sort of free form, contrasting ideas and sections with themes coming back, and a sort of continuous, not multi-movement like a sonata. So this one, as I said, is in D minor. It starts with this somber triplet, slow introduction. It almost sounds like Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata or something like that. Then that goes into a contrasting, still D minor, adagio, which is slow. Which then goes into this loud, repeated, that leads into this very exciting, goes back to the slow theme, and then these really fast runs. And then from there, it kind of alternates between those, this very beautiful, slow D minor adagio theme, this exciting 16th note theme, and then these very fast runs. Then, surprised at the end, Mozart ends in D major. So it's been in D minor the whole time, and after a big run and a build-up, he ends with this very peaceful and sweet sounding D major theme. It's a lovely, lovely way to end. He takes that theme and plays it some different ways with some different accompaniments, but then ends boldly in D major. Now, that may not be how Mozart intended it to end. Like some of his pieces, this was never finished. Either the last 10 measures were lost or he just didn't finish it, but the copy we have ends 10 measures short. So the 10 measures here were added by August Müller, who finished it for him. And most people play it this way. It was published this way. But there are many theories on how to finish it, and some performers now actually end with a beginning somber. So very different tone for ending than this sort of happy D major. They're both, very interesting and cool ways to play it. I'm just going to play it this way, where it ends in D major, and I hope you enjoy this. The Mozart's Fantasia in D minor.